All right, here we go. Live stream.
Take two. And alrighty, we're here for another week, an exciting week of sports on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. My name is McClain Baxley, here with Cole Ferguson.
Jinx, Omi Cook.
And we're here, and Connor Bueller is on vacation, business trip, but...
Busy week for Connor.
Yes, his Penguins won the NHL Finals.
Not a Penguins fan,
but still the jersey.
I'm a hockey guy.
Over the Nashville Predators in 6 games. But the Cleveland Cavaliers fell and lost to the Warriors in Game 5.
They fell. Yeah, they did lose. And so Connor, in turn, after this busy week of his team winning a championship, his team losing a championship, unable to be with us, sent in a little State of the Union.
Yes.
For Connor.
For Connor Bueller's.
And here we go.
I'm glad to have been correct on one thing during my time as a reporter on Unsportsmanlike Conduct, and that was the Penguins Stanley Cup Final Championship. I'm glad they have the cup back-to-back years, and I also am mourning the loss of the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. But I would just like to say Sidney Crosby came back from that head injury, as we hoped that he would, and the Jake Gensel and that Murray combination is going to be great for years to come. Also, J.R. Smith was sent from the heavens, LeBron is a god, and the Warriors are sadly a machine like no other that we've ever seen before. The highs and lows of sports are what makes us come back. Go Pens.
So that was our associate, Connor Bueller. Kind of sad to watch. You can definitely hear the pain in his eyes. Not only did
some could sound, the pain just sounds like crashing dishes.
Yeah.
Some could say.
But he said the one thing he got right, because early on in the show his Ohio State Buckeyes lost badly to Clemson, 31-0, and then now his Cavs lost
to the Warriors. In 5 games. Speaking of which, series was
let's just dive into this.
The series was incredible. We've talked about it before. 2 teams, Clash of the Titans, 2 monsters of the NBA, going head to head. We saw for the first 3 games, very, very one-sided.
Yes, the two games that were in Golden State and the first game in Cleveland, all 3 were very decided. The two in Golden State were very one-sided. Cleveland wasn't even on the court really. Game 3, however, Cleveland was up most of the game.
Yeah.
And then Golden State just continued that. They want to stay perfect in the playoffs, and just came out and got another win on the road last Wednesday night.
Game 4, Friday the 9th of June, was weird. It was a weird game because it was in Cleveland. It wasn't. The score was not as reflective, I think, of the actual game. Because if you were looking at it, you're like, oh, that's weird that the Cavs are back. The Cavs are going to blow out the Warriors. Like, it was like 137 to 116. Like, it's going to be, the Cavs are back. They're going to take over again. But it wasn't like that in this game, which was odd because the Warriors, despite being down a lot, weren't playing bad basketball. You know what I'm saying? So it was a weird scenario there where it seemed like, the Cavs could be back, the Cavs could come back, but that's all the buzz was. The buzz was, are the Cavs going to come back from the deficit again? But Game 5,
they couldn't.
They could not. Gentlemen sweep. The Warriors went 16-1 in the postseason. One of the best of all time, regardless. One of the best single season.
It is the best performance of all time. The only ones that ever go 16-1. Second best was the 16-3 Lakers in the 90s. But that game 4, let's just go back to that for a minute. That was a desperation game for Cleveland. Cleveland when they came home to Game 3, everyone expected them to blow up and do well, and they didn't. They lost on their home court for the first time all postseason. So to see that kind of crumble, they knew they had to come out. They were not about. LeBron James was not about to be swept again by a team in the NBA Finals. So, he balled out. LeBron James, despite what you say, I don't like him. You don't like him.
Connor likes him.
Connor likes him. he did really well.
Oh yeah, I mean,
He averaged a triple-double for the
people-
first time in
people-
an NBA Finals history.
people took notice of that, and you saw in his postseason, people were asking if this was his best finals performance of all time, and I think it was. I think that LeBron James losing this finals 4-1 and this entire postseason, I don't think was a testament to his reputation in the NBA history at all. I think, and this is tough to say, man. I'm trying to stomach my pride and give LeBron some credit, but he played tremendous basketball. Averaging a triple-double is insane, and I think he does stuff that I think other players can't get away with as well as he can. I think that I don't know. I could go on and on about this. I don't want to get fired up. I don't want to do that. But LeBron James took over, and I think we saw impressive performances from Kyrie as well, especially Game 4. Especially Game 4, Kyrie went off, and
He had to. 'Cause he was silent the first 2 games. He was not even there in the first 2 games.
So that was very important. But then we saw Game 5. Game 5, back in Oakland, Kevin Durant. That's all I have to say. I mean, for this entire finals, this entire postseason, the Warriors, Kevin Durant. That's what you got to equate to. He was his finals MVP. But this man, and this is where we get into some dicey controversy here. The whole thing about Kevin Durant leaving his city, his team, whatever, going to this super team. Right? That's the whole storyline. That's what everybody's saying, that he left this, just left to go to a championship team just so he could win championships, right? Here's the thing. It'd be totally different. Everybody could give him all the crap that they have if he was coming off the bench, being 6 man, not really doing a lot for the team, and just coasting along till the Warriors win a championship. But what's different about this is he was at the forefront of this was his team. The Warriors became Kevin Durant's team this postseason, especially this finals. And so for anybody out there who says that Kevin Durant is just riding off a championship team, joining a super team so it's easier or whatever like that, he did his part in this team, and I think that was very recognizable. The man was throwing down dunks. He was getting 30. He scored all 30 points, 30 plus games, all 5 games in the finals.
He averaged 35 points against the Cavaliers, which is insane. To do 39 in Game 5, it was crazy because this whole time we've known Kevin Durant's good. He's won MVP before. He's won scoring titles before. But it just interesting this season. He's been in the finals before also, but this season was different because we had a storyline where he went from Oklahoma City to Golden State, but it just seemed like he was kind of an alpha player. He played very elite. Both this postseason, but especially this finals, because that's when I actually started watching was the finals. But
basketball guy.
Yeah, but it was just crazy to see this guy who he's been good, but he definitely became an elite player in these finals, and I think that it was just really.
Are you saying he wasn't elite before?
It wasn't as obvious. I think. You had Kevin Durant, just that one shot. I think it was Game 3.
Here's the thing. I kind of get what you're saying. So. He was an MVP. I'll interpret for the fine people out there. We're on the same wavelength here. He was an MVP player. He was an elite player, top 3 player in the league. He's playing against a reigning championship team. He has a chance to prove himself on the biggest stage. And it's for some of those players, it's easy to crumble and fall against a reigning championship team, against one of the best players of all time. It's easy to do that. Kevin Durant stepped up and went above the call of duty, some might say.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't prove anything, doesn't make him anything he's not, but cements the fact that he's an elite player and one of the best in the league right now.
Yeah, he just had, in Game 3. It was towards the end of the game. I think it really won Golden State the game. It was a shot, 4th quarter. It's a long 3. He shoots it up. It's a swish, and they that was just crazy enough that he made a 3 in that last second, kind of like Kyrie last year.
It was like the dagger over LeBron. I remember that one.
But then they looked at the replay, and it was over LeBron James, who some people say he's the greatest of all time. I don't think so, but he's one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
And to just go up there with so much confidence and so much charisma, and it was awesome to watch.
Here's another thing in light of the recent NBA Finals that just really grinds my gears, McClain. LeBron James. I'm going to get fired up now. I can't not get fired up about this. People out there talking mad craziness about, LeBron James. It took 4 Hall of Famers to beat LeBron James and the Cavaliers. It took a super team to beat them. LeBron would never do that. LeBron doesn't know what a super team is, he said in his post-game conference. He's never been a part of one.
That's a lie.
I don't get it. Do you think he's just blind to the fact that he had the Big 3 ceremony in Miami? It wasn't even just like he was traded and then silently went into Miami.
He had a 2-hour long
parade. It was Mardi Gras in Miami when he went out there.
He had a 2-hour long special on ESPN called The Decision, where it was him and a commentator, and at the end of it, he's like, "I'm going to Miami." Like, that's a super team move. That's a stunt by a guy who tries to be humble. The whole 0 dark 30 thing. The guy has no rivals ever.
And then when he went to Miami, gets to Miami, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4.
Let's do some quick math here. There's 5 starting players on a basketball team, right? If you've got 3 of them who are future Hall of Famers, most likely, at least 2 or 3 of them, you've got LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. That's a majority. Ray Allen came off the bench a little bit, but he was a future Hall of Famer on that team. You got 4 Hall of Famers potentially right there on that team, on the Miami Heat. Is that not a super team? That's a majority of your starting 5. That's 3 out of 5. I can do math, man. That's 60%. That is 60%. 60 is greater than 50. That's more than half Hall of Famers. That, to my standards, qualifies that team as a super team, also as a Big 3. And that's how he won his first championship. Abandoned his bad team. Abandoned his non-playoff.
His home team.
He was raised in Akron. His Cavaliers weren't making the playoffs.
Just a kid from Ohio.
They were getting garbage in this regular season. Weren't making it to the postseason. So what does he do? People are giving him, chirping him for not being, an elite player until he goes and wins championships. He can be whatever. He can be rookie of the year. He can do this, all this, yada yada yada. But he's not winning a championship. He doesn't get the respect. Goes to Miami to win a championship, breaks the seal with a super team, and now people are out there with the audacity to chirp Kevin Durant the same exact way, saying that, who's this guy going to a super team to win a championship? Like, who's able to do that? LeBron would never do that. LeBron doesn't know what a super team is. No.
If anything, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is more a super team than Golden State. Golden State drafted all their guys except for Durant. Like, you look at Curry, Thompson, Draymond, they were all drafted out of the NBA draft or the lottery.
Yeah, the NBA draft. Gotcha. Keep going.
Whereas the Cavs, they traded for Kevin Love. They traded for LeBron James. They traded for Kyle Korver. They traded for all these guys where they really only drafted, Thompson and Irving. So
JR, they traded.
Yeah. So, that's more of a super trading and getting. They traded for more than Golden State did, so is Cleveland a super team. But LeBron's again, he's never played for.
Here's another thing. All you guys out there giving this negative connotation to the term super team, to the idea of stacking your team with all-stars and elite players like the Warriors have done. What do you think their job is? Do you think they're out there trying to make their team mediocre so that when they win championships it means more? That's ridiculous to think that. Why, if you were an NBA GM, if you were in the front office of a team, why would you not want to stack your team with MVPs, all-stars, and elite players? Why is that not your goal? Even LeBron James, who I hate, had the common sense enough to say, if I ever own a team, damn well I'm trying to do the same thing that the Warriors did. It's just a smart basketball move.
If you've got the money to do it, do it.
Exactly, and we saw how that turned out for the Warriors. Moving forward, McClain, what do you think this means? Do you think the Warriors are going to falter anytime soon?
No.
I think the next couple seasons.
I think even at least for the next 2 or 3 years, Durant's on a contract. All these guys are going to re-sign. Why would they not?
So here's the thing.
Steph Curry's going to be a Warrior for life.
The Warriors came out and said that they're going to do anything that it takes to keep Steph Curry, but they're going to have to pay a lot of money for that.
The only guy that I see out of the starting five is Draymond, Durant, Zaza, Curry, and Klay Thompson. And I think the only one out that they would be willing to trade for or really willing to part with would be Klay Thompson.
Not Zaza?
Well,
Zaza, get another big man?
Zaza's a weirdo.
But here's the thing.
No Game 7.
Good one. Good joke, dude. Here's another thing, McClain. Think about this. Steph Curry comes back, Supermax contract. They got to pay him a lot of money. Players like Andre Iguodala, the Livingstons and the Bards out there who are free agents coming up, they're gonna have to take pay cuts, not get signed to these bigger contracts because they're gonna have to pay their superstars like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and all of them these max contracts, these big contracts. So do you think that's going to affect? Andre Iguodala played 38 minutes in Game 5 of this finals.
Really,
He's a high impact
Iggy should
player.
be starting.
He should be. At any other team, he's going to be starting. But we could very well see this offseason the Warriors lose Andre Iguodala. Is that going to make a difference in the integrity and the talent of this team?
You look at I look at Golden State the same way I look at the Patriots. The Patriots, you look at these guys, they'll lose Gronk, they'll lose some receiver, and they'll get some weird no-name guy like any of their receiver corps,
Right.
and they come in and they still just continue to win Super Bowls and continue to do well. And I think that's the same way a lot of these guys out of the starters. I mean, aside from the starters, except for Zaza, these guys are really good players. I'd say these four
They're all all-stars. Yeah.
These four are top 10 in the league. All right,
they're top tier.
You can make arguments for all four of them,
Yeah.
and then Iguodala and Livingston, I think, are in the same boat with them. Like you said, you always say how with Andre and Sean Livingston, they're starters on any other team.
Yeah.
But it's because on the super team and this one of the best teams in history that they're not starting.
Right.
And so, but you get rid of those two guys and you bring in two other guys that prior to the Warriors were no names. They become names and they become NBA champions in a season. And I think that's just what Steve Kerr and what the front office has built with this Golden State team. Because this team looks a lot different than the one that was 2 years ago.
It does. I mean, they've added so many.
They've added and they've taken away guys like Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut are all gone. Barbosa, they're all gone. And you've put in Durant, you've put in Zaza, you've put in Matt Barnes. It's just a cycle of who's coming in. As long as you keep those base players like Draymond and like Steph Curry, I don't see why the formula can't work. And especially because a lot of other teams, they've tried. The Spurs are trying to stack themselves, putting a lot of guys. Houston's becoming a really relevant team.
So that's a good point.
But we've seen, though, that it still is not enough. The Warriors went 16-0 except for one game.
Do you think that if the Spurs get a Chris Paul or Paul George, they get these elite high-end point guards, do you think that they start creeping up on the Warriors'
maybe they can
in the West? The Spurs were close this year. The Spurs were riding the tails of the Warriors up until the April and May.
They were still swept though, Cole. They were still. That's what I'm saying. I mean, this team, and it could be just this season. It could be the redemption that they wanted from last year.
Spurs aren't swept if they don't lose Kawhi. That's just a fact. If Kawhi doesn't go out, Warriors don't sweep.
I'm just the Warriors are on a level right now that it's going to take a lot. The Cavs tried to do the same thing. They tried to stack their team, and they were still almost swept, and they still did not have the series because LeBron's the only guy on that team still, and it's been proven. And so there's going to be a lot. Some team is going to have to do something in this Western Conference, which is already far more superior than the East. It's going to have to do something to slow the Warriors down.
So here's another thing. On the other side, the Cavs. Still a very good team. They lose 4-1 to the Warriors, but even getting one game on this Warriors team wasn't a compliment.
Still going pretty much unscathed until then also.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the NBA postseason, they coasted by, pretty much. They may have lost a couple games here and there, but they were not tested. Do you think this change? Do you think the landscape of the East is going to change to the point where maybe the Cavs don't make it to the NBA Finals next year in the East? I think that's more of the shaky situation than it is in the West. Yeah. I think the East is more of a toss-up. I mean, we saw it with Boston. There's talent in the East. Maybe not as dominant as talent, maybe not as stacked, but I think relatively in the Eastern Conference, there's more talent there that could overthrow the Cavs than vice versa in the Western Conference.
You're definitely correct. These guys, and a lot of these guys are also in the same position as the Warriors that are not may not sign back again.
Exactly. They're going to lose pieces too. That's just the nature of the NBA offseason. But in the NBA, teams cycle through like you were talking about. Teams get better, teams get worse, it kind of cyclically. And so we're seeing now the rise of Boston. We're seeing the rise of some other teams along with it. What do you think? Is it going to be better or worse for the league then? Because I think the Warriors versus, say Boston wins that series against Cleveland. Say Boston gets another piece. Say Boston gets a Jimmy Butler or another team player like that plays a part in that team. Beat Cleveland. Now you've got a Boston Warriors finals. Do you think that's better or worse? Do you think I don't think that team the Boston Celtics would make it one game with the Warriors.
No. And
I think LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, even though they may not be the best team in the East, are definitely the best match for the Warriors.
Yeah. And even with that, they still lose 4-1. It's just crazy how this team, which is really a bunch of like coming out of college, a lot of these guys were not highly sought after. Yeah, I mean a lot of these guys were. Steph Curry went to Davidson.
Draymond's probably the biggest name.
Yeah,
he was 7th pick, something like that. I mean,
he does. I mean, and they've made this team that's a team that people have been comparing to the Bulls or compared to the Lakers. The Showtime Lakers, and it's just crazy to see these guys that. When given the opportunity, when given the right, teammates, when given the right environment, they step up and they win 2 championships in 3 years.
As basketball fans and as sports fans, seeing this it's really cool, especially now after the finals, to take a step back and look at the fact that we are living in like an era of like history in basketball. I think people it may be naive to say, but I think people 10, 20 years from now are going to be looking back at this Warriors team the same way they look back at the 96 Bulls or the Showtime Lakers. That's their dominance. That's their legacy. That's their impact on the league in the same way that these other
Michael Jordan and
Magic Johnson,
Craig Hodges,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all those players. We're going to be looking at Draymond and Steph and Kevin Durant and Clay the same way.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, dude. I'm a Hawks fan. I'm not even a Warriors fan, right? Like, I support the history of what they do, but I could name probably just as many players in the Warriors as I could in the Hawks. That's how much of like celebrities in the term of in the NBA world that this team is. How much impact they've made on the league that you're able. Even people that are maybe borderline basketball fans could probably name Steph Curry and Kevin Durant.
They had 4 All-Stars.
I mean,
they had 4 All-Stars.
It's crazy.
Yes. And then across the country, Cleveland has 3. So these teams are both super teams. These teams are both good, and this finals was really exciting to watch.
Even though it was 4-1, gentleman's sweep, still a great finals.
Yeah.
Still a great finals because there were glimpses. Every now and then you'd see the Cavs go on a roll. You'd see the Cavs do this and that. Cavs would be up at halftime.
But they didn't win.
Which
good.
Makes me happy.
Yeah,
makes me happy. Makes me
I'm satisfied. Another finals wrapped up was the NHL finals.
Yep.
You had the Predators and the Penguins. Penguins looking to go back to back after barely surviving in the Final Four against the
Senators. Or is it the Anaheim Ducks? Senators.
Well, the Ducks were in the West. Senators were in the East. Anyway, it was
hockey guys. What can you say?
It was Penguins and
Senators.
No, Penguins and Predators.
Penguins and
And it was a great
I thought we were
series.
talking about the conference finals. Still.
No. We're going to the NHL finals. Penguins trying to back to back. Sidney Crosby, who's still kind of suffering from that head injury, but still the best player in the world, versus the Predators, who this is their first NHL finals. That pretty much all the South and all the West was supporting them, and they went to 6 games. And I thought it was going to go to 7, but Penguins going to get it.
This was just as back and forth, I think, as the NBA finals.
Yeah.
2 games.
Yeah.
That's the 6 games that we saw. So it was just as wishy-washy, and it was just as back. Just when you thought the Penguins were going to run away with it, Predators came back, win 2 games, and you're like, okay, maybe the Predators can do this. And even in the last game when it was 2-0,
it was 0-0 until the third period.
Till not even just the third period.
The last 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it came in and they just scored 2 at Game 6 at the end.
Well,
and one of them's a garbage time.
Yeah, it was an open net goal. But it was just awesome to see Nashville, a team that definitely an underdog story. I always love seeing the good old underdogs doing well against this beast of Pittsburgh and what Pittsburgh has done both in
historically.
Hockey, and also, the city of Pittsburgh putting it on the map. Pittsburgh's definitely a sports town now.
Definitely a sports town.
You got these guys, you got the Steelers, who have the best team in history in NFL. NFL. Yeah, James Conner out here.
But either way, Pittsburgh Penguins being the first team to go back-to-back since the 80s,
The Red Wings.
The Red Wings
90s, yeah.
In the 90s. So That's, incredible to watch. Sidney Crosby, no doubt, Stanley Cup MVP.
The best player in the world in hockey.
It's just what it was. I think from the start, I don't think the Warriors, or not the Warriors, sorry, still basketball guy. I don't think the Predators shortchanged anybody's predilections about them.
No, they were supposed to be. They were supposed to lose in the first round to the Blackhawks. They
So
swept the Blackhawks,
and they went 2 games in the Stanley Cup Finals to the reigning champs.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody was like, oh, the Predators should have done better, yada yada. Just the fact that they were in the Stanley Cup in general was.
And both those games were blowouts in Nashville's favor. You know, the 5-1 over Pittsburgh and then 4-1. Then they got rocked in Game 5. But life goes on.
So I think that this means a lot for the city of Nashville and the organization of the Nashville Predators that they're now a top tier team.
And now for the NHL, Nashville, was a wild card team. There was the 8th seed in the West, and they made all the way to the finals. And so now this just opens a whole new scape for the rest of the NHL. The NHL is different because different teams make it every year, and there hasn't really been a lot of droughts. We saw that ended with Edmonton this year, but it just opens the door for the rest of the NHL to come in and do well.
Do you think that this postseason for Nashville and this season in general is going to keep going into the future, or do you think this season was kind of a fluke, where teams just kind of have one good season, everything works out, then in postseason or in off season moves are made and they're never as good as they were in that one season?
I guess
do you
we'll
think
find
that's
out in
going to change?
October.
That's just 2 hockey guys' opinions.
There you go.
Just 2 hockey guys' opinions. Other big things going on in the sports world. Football, not really picking up yet. They're starting training camps. Odell Beckham Jr. in the news again.
For not going to practice.
You see, he came out with some shoes on Wednesday morning. It was had the names of all the different media outlets on them. It was New York Times, TMZ, ESPN, with red X's and stuff all through that. So he's back in the news again in the NFL. Nothing else big going on in the NFL yet. Just starting to get picked up. The practices really haven't started. Postseason coming soon, or preseason coming soon.
Big though in the fighting world. We don't really talk about fighting a lot, boxing, but the thing
boxing, I guess you can't say UFC is boxing. It's a boxing thing now.
Yeah. So it's been in the talks for 2 or 3 years now. Conor McGregor, the Irish Beast, at UFC, undefeated, just dominates everyone. That's even decent.
He's not undefeated.
He's really good though.
He's really good, not undefeated.
Anyway, really good.
Who is undefeated?
That's what I meant. Floyd Mayweather. These guys have been trying to get a fight together, boxing fight. And they signed a contract.
We don't have a date yet.
It was under way into the news because it was Monday night when Game 5 was going on is when it broke. The contract had been signed. So no one really cared until Tuesday morning when all the people that weren't Cavs or Warriors fans finally stopped caring about basketball. Looked in the media and saw that 2 of the best fighters alive have signed contract to fight.
So this is super exciting. I'm not a big UFC or boxing
There's no real UFC or boxing guys. But
there's guys. You'd be surprised at how diehard. It's a small niche of people. It's a very small niche of people. But let me tell you, dude, they go hard. They go hard. But I think just in general, this is if not as big or bigger than Pacquiao Mayweather.
That was big.
This is going to be big. You've got the 2 titans of the fighting world, Conor McGregor, Mayweather. Not because it wouldn't just be normal. This is big even without the 2 personalities at stake. Just the fact that they're crossing their different sports in general.
Yeah.
Do that. But the fact that they've been trash talking and they've been chirping each other and they've been going at each other for years now, saying they could, go back and forth. And you see it on Twitter. McGregor's been training in boxing even before they signed the contract, which is a good sign that's going to happen. But now we finally have, on paper, it's going to happen. We don't have a date. We don't have rules. We don't have any of that yet, but we know it's going to happen eventually.
Hopefully, I saw thinking maybe October, which would be...
That would be incredible. October is prime month of sports.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about this. Basketball starts up.
Football's when it matters.
Football's in prime. Baseball postseason.
Soccer's still going on.
Hockey starts up. You've got every sport.
This fight, my birthday.
Your birthday, Halloween. Every single sport is going on in October. So get ready for October.
It's going to be exciting.
It's June right now.
June,
Countdown to
mid-June.
October, I guess.
We
Countdown
got
to
4
October.
months. 4 months is gonna be here
Get rocking.
sooner than you can count. But yeah, so that's gonna be our show for this week. This has been McClain Baxley,
Cole Ferguson.
and that was Connor Bueller.
on the big screen.
And yeah, have a great week.